I love meatloaf. It's one of my favorite foods, actually, and I loved it as a kid, hated it as a young adult, but now I've come to just really enjoy it a lot. So the meatloaf I'm going to make for you today is an old-fashioned meatloaf, kind of a diner style. So the first thing we're going to do is make a paillard. Now paillard is easy to do, and it simply means that you're making all of your additional ingredients from the meat into a nice moist ingredient that will be incorporated in. So I'm going to take about a cup of breadcrumbs. And then I want to take 3 to 4 ounces. I usually use 3, but sometimes I just like a little extra kick of that ketchupy flavor, that tomato flavor. So sometimes I'll use 4 ounces of tomato paste. Today I'm using about 3. There we go. And I want to add to that about a ½ teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of dried basil, teaspoon of dried oregano, and a teaspoon of dried parsley. Now let's just mix those together. Here we go. Just kind of get all that in. Make sure that that tomato is all mixed through, that we've got that parsley mixed all through, the basil, the oregano. It's so delicious this way. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add some eggs and some milk, because like I said, we want to make a wet ingredient that goes in. So we're going to start off with our eggs. And I'm just going to break it into one of these little bowls that I've used already. So we need 2 eggs. 1 and 2. And always keep an extra egg there just in case you need it, because you know if an egg is bad, then you want to be able to replace it. All right, let's mix that all up. Get that egg in. And now we're going to add some milk. So this will really make those breadcrumbs nice and moist. It just adds so much to the meatloaf. There we go. All right, so it's kind of pasty on its own. It almost looks like ground beef when you get it all mixed up. But it's not. It's your paillard, and it's all your flavor components. So that's what it looks like. There you go. Now I have 2 pounds of meatloaf mix. Meatloaf mix is 1/3 beef, 1/3 pork, and 1/3 veal or lamb. And I'm using the one that has veal. So what I want to do is take that meatloaf mix and just kind of break it up a little bit in my bowl. And then I'm going to add to it the paillard. So let's really get in there with that paillard. And we're going to stir it up with our hands, the old-fashioned way, the way they always did it in the diner, back before we had to wear gloves. I remember going in the drugstore where my grandmother worked and my mom, and they'd be back there just mixing up everything, mixing the hamburger patties, patting them out by hand, mixing up the meatloaf, mixing up the casseroles, and everything was done by hand then. We didn't think a thing of it. So now I've got this beautiful meatloaf almost mixed up. You don't want to overmix meatloaf, because if you do, it's going to get tough. All the oil will start to come to the surface, and it will just be a little bit too difficult to eat. Okay, there we've got it. Now I'm going to get my meatloaf pan ready, and I'll be back to show you exactly how we pack that in the pan and get it ready for the oven. So this is the kind of meatloaf pan I love to use. It's got a little insert in it so that all I have to do is lift out that meatloaf, and then it drains of all those fats, and I really appreciate that. So we're going to pack this meatloaf into the pan, and you really want to start with those corners so you don't have huge holes down in the corner of your meatloaf. Get all of it in and tight. Now you can do so many things with meatloaf. I remember as a child, my dad had so much fun with meatloaf. He would put pineapple rings on it sometimes and put a little ground ham in it. Sometimes he would make it with mashed potatoes around the outside and then put it in the oven and pretend it was baked Alaska. He was very creative with his meatloaf making. And back in the day when I was a kid, ground beef was the thing that everybody had to eat because it was the thing everyone could afford. So I grew to really appreciate a good meatloaf. So I'll bake this for an hour in a 350-degree oven. Then I'm going to pull it out and mix together 1/4 cup ketchup, 1/2 teaspoon onion powder, and 1/2 teaspoon garlic powder. Let's just mix those up in a little paste. I'll spread it on the top of the meatloaf and then put it back in the oven for 10 minutes. And then we'll serve it up. So here we have our beautiful meatloaf, and I'm going to serve that with a Leon Millot. Now this is an unusual grape. We've not seen it on the show ever before, but this particular varietal grows really well in the Blue Ridge Mountains, really in a higher elevation, cooler climate. It's a dark blue grape. They come in tiny, tiny clusters with really small grapes, and they're very intense. So they can either be sort of along the lines of a Syrah, or they can be much lighter like a Pinot Noir. Either way, they work really well with meatloaf, with some lighter meats like pork. So let's give us a little slice here. I'm going to take the one next to the end to put on my plate. And you can see that that little bit of ketchup on the top just works out perfectly. All right, now I made just a little sauce gravy, just a little pan gravy that is from the meatloaf drippings, and then a little bit of flour and some beef stock. Super simple. And I'm just going to drizzle that right over top. Oh, that looks so good. So let's give it a little bite. Super hot. I can see all that steam still rising. So good. I love a good paillard meatloaf because all the flavors blend so well. Now let's try it with this wine. Good acidity, so it really blends well with the sauce. Nice red wine that doesn't have a lot of tannin, super low tannin, so it goes really well with the meatloaf, which is not a high fat kind of meat. So really, really good pairing here. And I hope you'll enjoy this recipe. And next time you can find a bottle of Leon Millot, give it a try.